guys, so we are continuing looking at creative applications, and today we're going to look at DaVinci Resolve. And DaVinci Resolve is from the company called Blackmagic, and they have a built-in node-based compositor. So, and when I say node-based compositor, what do I mean, right? So we looked at Adobe Photoshop, and Adobe Photoshop, everything is based on layers. So a lot of applications, you kind of like thinking in terms of like, you have kind of like a colored paper or like transparencies, and everything is kind of stuck in on top of each other, right? So this is the idea of the layers, right? But there's another idea, another concept, and this is what we're looking at right now, right? So each operation is a node, right? So right now I'm looking at the input node. This is the node which looks at the media. So let's look at the interface like little by little, right? So we're looking at DaVinci Resolve, right? So they have, traditionally it was a color corrector. So this module, which is dealing with colors, is what they were doing initially. So that's what they were famous for. But little by little they expanded, and now they have editing module, they have a Fusion, which is a node-based compositor, they have a powerful sound editor, so they have a lot of different modules built in, right? So let's look at them one by one. So this is the media, and here like the same like Adobe Photoshop, like Adobe Premiere, like After Effects, the concept is very similar. You click on Import Media, it opens a dialog box. Let's say if we want to import this particular video, we click OK. This is a picture, it imported it. You click one more time, Import Media, select what you want. Let's say we want to import this video. It can read most of the formats. Right? It can preview it, right? So we're talking about like any kind of like other modern video editor or compositor, right? It can preview it right here. You can look at different things. Very nice, very nice application, very high-end application. Right, so we're previewing. We can play a particular video.
Why don't you just admit that you're freaked out by my robot hand?
Right, so something like this. And by the way, these movies are from Blender open source movies. It was created by open source application called Blender, and they allow you to download and learn and play with it and do everything you need, right? So let's continue looking at the interface. I'm going to hide my picture so I'm not obstructing the screen. So let's look at in editing window. It's very similar to what you would see in Adobe Premiere or in Avid or in any other application. When you double click on something, it loads it into the preview. So this monitor on the left, this screen is a preview screen, right? So this one is the 3D animation I've done some time ago in Blender. So this is what this is. And once you work on the timeline is previewed in this window.
This is
right, and you can click on the timeline to go back and forth. I already applied some color correction, so it kind of looks a little strange, but it doesn't matter. At this point, we're just learning. This interface, when we go into actual Fusion, this is what I wanted to show you, but this is what I mean by node-based compositor. So this node is importing the video. So this is once we imported the video, it kind of like responsible to bring it in, right? So, and the way you can preview it, if you hit 1, it will preview this particular video on the left, or actually on this monitor. If you hit 2, it will preview it on the second one, right? So then we go to next mode. The next mode is color curves, right? So let's say I hit 2, it's going to preview it on this screen, and when I'm doing something, you see I'm affecting color with curves, right? This is what this node is doing. So this particular node is responsible, in Photoshop they call it a filter, right? So this guy is responsible for applying that curve. This particular node is applying color correction, right? So you can apply color correction to master. So let's do something dramatic so you see what's going on. And again, to preview it, you have to say on what monitor. So right now we're previewing it on monitor 2. Right, so right now I'm shifting colors to red, shifting colors to blue, to green, right? So you can affect the master composition, or you can select that you can affect shadows, midtones, and highlights. So this is a very high-end compositor, And right now I'm kind of showing you the concept of working with nodes, right? So this particular node is applying a film grain, right? So it looks grainy like old film. This particular node is affecting brightness, right? So, and to preview it, we hit 2, right? So it's darker, now it's lighter. So each of those nodes has its own job. And this is the basic idea, and this is the final node, the output. We can preview it to 2, right? So this is the idea that each one of those nodes is doing something unique and interesting. Here in the DaVinci Resolve, and this is the fusion part, which is node-based compositor. The way it works, this is the input node, this is the output node, right? So, and you see this connection when I right-click on it, and I go into Add Tool, and let's see if we can add some kind of color correction tool. Color correction, color corrector, let's say this one, right? So we add this one. So this node is appearing, right? And now, when I click on it and I hit 2 on my keyboard, so the output of this node is going to be on this second monitor. This, the first one on the left, this is the monitor 1, this is monitor 2, and it's also called, in all the video editing applications, these monitors are called preview. The one on the left is preview. That's why you're checking everything. You're checking your compositions, your video. And the one which is on the right, it's called program. So, okay, so let's take a look. So we have this color wheel. Let's say I'm shifting everything to red. You see? So the output is here. So right now we have very simple composition. This one is the input node. This one is the output node. And this one in the middle, we're affecting the colors. Very similar to Photoshop when you're applying a filter, right? So let's say we can shift it to green, and also you can affect master or you can affect just the highlights. Let's say right now I will be affecting, so the highlights, let's say you can shift to green. The shadows, you can shift to yellow. So in other words, we're kind of gonna go for some kind of like effect which kind of looks like the, and midtones, maybe you shift to purple. And maybe I need to go back to master and decrease it so you'll see it more clearly, right? So one more time. So we go to shadows, we shift in shadows to green, we go into highlights, we shift in them to yellow, and the output is this kind of like a effect as in matrix, green and yellow, right? And what did we say? Midtones, we're gonna shift maybe to green too, or to yellow, maybe something like this, right? So this is the output of it, right? It may not be able to preview it real time because, well, actually it's previewing it real time, so it's pretty good. So on the left, you see in the how it was originally without any filters, and on the right, you see in how it is now, right? If you want to add one more filter, again, the same procedure, right-click on the arrow, you say Add Tool, maybe we're gonna do some other effect, and we're gonna say color curves, right? Curves, right? So we added one more node, curves, right? So let's extend it, right? When I click on it, I hit number 2 on my keyboard. The output is going to be on the second monitor. And now let's try, so we're making it lighter and darker, right? If you don't want the node which you were working on before, this color corrector, you hit delete on your keyboard, and that node is gone, right? So right now we're not doing any color correction except that what we're doing in this color curves window. Right? Make sense? Right? So when we go to color, this is basically what DaVinci Resolve was known for. It was a very high-end it was a very high-end color correction system, right? So here we're playing with color, we're affecting different things. We can shift different colors, like we can apply different effects, right? So right now I'm kind of shifting everything to red, right? Maybe on this one we shift everything to blue, right? So basically they had like a high-end module, which is kind of like a hardware module. I'm going to show it once we go to their website. And I think DaVinci Resolve was, I don't know, I think the starting price was for $30,000, and it can easily go into $150 or something like that. We can take a look. These days you can download it for free. So all of these tools, you have media import, you have editing, you have fusion, node-based compositor, you have high-end color correction, you have sound editing, and you have delivery, different modes to render it out, and you can download it for free. So let's go to their website and let's take a look what, okay, so here's their website, right? So blackmagicdesign.com, right? So they do all kind of hardware devices. So they do like this is a mini switch they done recently. And they do all kind of broadcast switches, broadcast monitors. They make their own cameras. They make high-end cameras at affordable price. Before, like, the cameras were like very high-end and very expensive, right? So let me see, micro 4K cameras they got, right? Right. So if you go to products, right? You go to products, and let me see, we go to DaVinci Resolve. Right? So they explain all the features of DaVinci Resolve. So they used to sell it with this high-end fancy panels, right? So these panels, they have now less expensive ones, but they used to be very expensive. They used to be like $30,000, and these panels and the entire system used to run on Linux, right? So, and they sell commercial version of Fusion or DaVinci Resolve, Fusion Studio, for $300, but you can also download for free the regular, which is you don't have to have like a high-end commercial so let me see, learn more. If you go to DaVinci Resolve, and they show you, by the way, that's another interesting thing. If you never worked in creative studios, you don't know how it looks, right? So this is how it looks. You have like two monitors, you have high-end switching, and this guy is doing color correction, or he's doing editing. So right, so that's another interesting thing to look at DaVinci and see how the creative studios are set up. Their descriptions are correct. You see, so they're describing exactly what I was describing. You have a timeline, you can deal with tapes, and you can do different trimming modes. So basically, they're describing different features of their system, right? And by the way, this is how looks the editing suite or color correction suite. So you have like a high-end monitor. You have an operator who is highly skilled person who can do real-time edits. And these are the people who are sitting behind the editor or behind the visual effects artist. And it's called supervised session. So they're the people who are paying money to make a commercial, to edit documentary, to edit a film. And they're sitting like in a suite, and they're reviewing it and they're asking to make corrections, right? So they're kind of showing you all the different kind of like features of DaVinci Resolve and what it can do, right? And basically all the way at the end, they're going to be the option to download DaVinci. I think the only thing they ask you for your email and your name, and you can download and play with DaVinci Resolve. Studio is their commercial product, that's the one which they want to charge you $300, but the actual DaVinci is free. So let me see if we can scroll down to that. You see, like the studios look very fancy. This is their console. They also make high-end sound consoles. They acquired a lot of business. And it runs on the Mac, on Windows, and on Linux, right? Open and compatible DaVinci Resolve, right? So this is the DaVinci Resolve Studio 16 for $300, or you can have a free version. Download now. They're asking you for what operating system, let's say for Windows. They're asking you to fill in like a short information about yourself, and that's it. And for free, you can download and install DaVinci Resolve on the Mac, on PC, or on Linux, right? So I think it's very cool. It's very, very interesting application. And let me minimize that. Let me go back one more time to DaVinci. Right, let's say we go to the Fusion, right? So there are several applications which kind of like have the same principle. Autodesk Flame is another one. Autodesk Flame is probably the most famous. And it used to cost $250,000. And it was a high-end HP workstation running Red Hat Linux. All kind of high-end input-output cards, and that system was optimized to run almost in real time. So all of the effects, you don't have to render anything. Most of the things were done in real time, and they would have a supervised session, and some of the clients for high-end commercials, they would pay $1,000 per hour to edit some kind of fancy Mercedes commercial or something like that, right? So, and after that, the guys added editing, and you can import media, and they made it pretty much like user-friendly. You don't have to read a lot of manuals. If you're familiar with some kind of like creative application, let's say if you're familiar with Final Cut or Adobe Premiere or Avid, you're going to be familiar with this one. You're going to be at home, and you can use this application for free. You download, you play with it, you see how it looks, you output, and I think it's a very good experience, right? So let me bring up my picture, the video for closing remarks. So the homework for this one: download DaVinci Resolve and try to import some pictures, some video, try to edit it together, like try to put together some clips, try to go into the Fusion module and understand like color correction and different things you can do. Color is the high-end. There are a lot of tutorials, guys. Like, it's not like you don't have information. The only thing is that you're willing to learn, right? So, and this stuff is free, so you cannot say that you don't have money to buy something expensive. This is not expensive at all, it's free, right? Fairlight, I didn't even play much with Fairlight. This is their high-end sound editing. So if you're into sound editing, they have like 16 track or even more. How many tracks they have? Like, I think it's like 24 track like editing, and like you can do all kind of high-end sound editing. And at the end, you deliver the video in the format which you need. So you see, like, they have H.264, you can deliver it to YouTube. They have all kind of different options to deliver it, to render it out and to create either QuickTime or some kind of like MP4 file. So you select what you want, right? So this is DaVinci Resolve. So thank you very much for watching. Download, play with it, and I think it's a very good application. It's a very good experience for system administration guys who want to support creative studio, media companies. This is an excellent application to learn and to understand what's going on. So thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.